morning, everyone, and welcome to the Real Science Exchange, the pubcast where leading scientists and industry professionals meet over a few drinks to discuss the latest ideas and trends in animal nutrition. Today, we're talking about changing U.S. regulatory landscape for pet food participants. Regulatory expectations for pet food are quickly shifting, affecting everything from ingredient approval pathways to labeling and enforcement priorities. This episode translates what's changing into clear implications for manufacturers and innovators. Hi, I'm Scott Sorrell with Balchem. I'm going to be your host today, here with my co-host, Jason Schmidt. He's the manager of regulatory affairs for Balchem, and we're here with the team from the Pet Food Institute, and I think we got the whole team here. Dana, I'm going to start with you. You're giving a presentation here at the Pet Food Forum this week. Would you mind just kind of telling us a little bit about yourself, and then, if you will, just introduce the rest of your teammates, if you will.
I'll be happy to. First, Pet Food Institute, we're the trade association in Washington, D.C., representing pet food makers, so manufacturers, and treat. And we also represent some associate members, which can include ingredient suppliers. And a lot of folks that are here in this show would be available or have the opportunity to join Pet Food Institute. I am the former CEO, president and CEO of Pet Food Institute that we just made a transition in March. Very exciting. It's been a phenomenal 8 years of my career. Happy to pass the baton over to Elise Finning. She joined us, and she's bringing a wealth of knowledge in association management, membership recruiting. So looking forward to working and watching Elise grow PFI, and she's here now. She's, what is this? 5 weeks on the job.
I think this is 6 weeks.
6 weeks on the job.
Wow.
So, and she's absolutely nailing it. But also here today is Pat Tovey. He's our Vice President of Scientific and Regulatory Affairs. The regulatory side of Pet Food Institute has been the backbone of PFI. It's how we started. It's why we started in 1958. So it's So and Pat leads that and does well and has brought industry knowledge as well as working for laboratory and testing. So he's been with PFI, I think 15, 16 years now.
We're getting close to 15.
Close to 15 years. And he just, brings that institutional knowledge and leads, like I said, scientific and regulatory affairs, which is very important to us because food safety is our number one priority, as well as complete and balanced nutrition. Also with us today is the other Dana, Dana Waters. So in an office of 8, we have 2 Danas, which is can be a bit confusing. Unfortunately for her, because I was Dana number 1, she finally goes by Dana Waters, DW. So we call her DW. But so I think she may be the most excited about me leaving, so she can just go back to being Dana.
True. She can get her name back. That's not true.
But Dana came to us as an intern and with a background in public policy and international affairs interest. And she quickly rose up to the rank there to be a director of international affairs. She does everything from import to export for our members. She has direct line to the USDA, APHIS, so that they do the inspection, as well as our market access program that we receive funding from USDA to be able to promote U.S. pet food, in nutrition and complete and balanced nutrition, and talk about our food safety measures that are, top in the world. So she supports those members to be able to get product either in or out of countries. And with this current administration, in Washington, D.C., President Trump having his favorite word being the T word, tariffs, she's been the busiest bee that we've had. I think we never dreamed what we would be managing in Washington, D.C. over the last, year with that. So she's on a hotline for a lot of our members as well as some of the ingredient suppliers that are here today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I understand you're giving a presentation
yesterday. She did yesterday.
Yep, first thing in the morning on Monday.
All right, good. I'll look forward to digging into that here in a moment as well. Dana, let's start, though, with your presentation that you're going to be giving. Kind of outline that for us. What's some of the key topics and themes that you're going to be talking about?
As I mentioned, about a new administration. Under President Trump's administration, he names RFK Jr., Robert Kennedy Jr., as the Secretary of Human Health Services, HHS, which FDA falls underneath that agency, which is really unusual. Kennedy came in as a bit of a controversial figure even when he was running for office. He's running for president. He's been known as a Democrat, comes in under the Republican administration, and his, everything is a AHA or MAGA, so he said, his platform was Make America Healthy Again. And, which is, that's kind of fair. It's important. But under Make America Healthy Again, let me go back. HHS is the largest cabinet agency in the government. A lot of people think it's defense. But it's an over $1 trillion agency. So many things fall under that, including Medicare, Medicaid, in research. But fascinating is this cabinet member, Kennedy, is most interested in FDA because of MAHA and things that. So a part of a MAHA report is there's questions about GRAS, generally recognized as safe ingredients, and it's called a loophole. Is that perception of that, whether it is or isn't? But I think a real focus has been over what we call self-GRAS. So when you don't have to have as a notification of that. So in that, they're like saying, well, human food and animal food companies are using self-GRAS. And first off, I'm going to just say it's not good for business if we put a product in a bag that does not promote health and safety. So it's rigorous in what pet food manufacturers choose, for complete and balanced nutrition. Nonetheless, self-GRAS has, in the public perception now, is a no-go. So with that, creates a challenge for us because, pet food, we have FDA as our regulatory authority under the Center for Veterinary Medicine, but also a lot of times each state reviews pet food labels and packaging. So it's been a real challenge for the industry already being under this 50-state patchwork as well as FDA. So while this changing the quote-unquote loophole will require these ingredients maybe to be, either notified or are accepted. The one thing that we see that may work to our benefit is like it's federalized. Then you codify anything that's out there that's been used or been generally recognized it's safe, and if it's self-GRAS, they may have to go through a process of approval, but then there won't be a state-by-state questioning. Is this product something that can or cannot be used? It'll be very clear. So there'll be some transparency in the process as well as a federal authority over it. And when you look at international, which is really opportunity for pet food, with Dana Waters working on that, having whether we like it or not, FDA is the golden rule, and they are the recognized authority internationally. So if these products, the ingredients that are used, are approved and recognized, that kind of makes it a little bit cleaner pathway also for us for international policy. And Dana Waters can talk a little bit more about that challenge, as well as Pat Tovey, who has been managing our task force that we've been working on to look at how we move through this process through the MAHA, blueprints or report of what to expect moving forward. But I will say real quickly, what comes as a surprise to me is that the Republicans, this has become a bipartisan issue, which in the past, this has been a very, I dare say, a little bit of a liberal Democrat leaning concern over ingredients in the GRAS loophole. Having worked in Congress, I heard some of those members of Congress in appropriations as well as those committees that had concern about it. Instead, now it's being led and driven by a Republican, so now it's bipartisan. So chances are that this is the path that we're going to see that's going to happen.
So a lot of changes taking place.
Yep.
Politically driven, perhaps.
Correct.
Yep. Is that non-typical for what's taken place over, let's say, the last 20, 25 years? Is that a change? And so that kind of then would lead to my next question: is what's the chances that it goes back to?
Yeah, that is a concern. Yeah, I've been in D.C. doing government relations for 25 years, and the pendulum is swinging faster and harder more recently than in the past. It takes bipartisan support to pass a lot of things in Congress, especially right now whenever the House of Representatives just narrow, razor-thin margin. And a lot of times you need 2/3 vote, and you don't have it. In the Senate, you've got to have 60. You've got to have a majority, more than a majority, to pass a lot of things. And there's also razor-thin margin there. So it requires bipartisan support. So that helps some. But as rules change, you can have a very simple majority, and they pass it. And then, if we look at what pundits are saying about the next election, that the House looks very likely to go Democrat. Senate is possible to go Democrat. And so, some things can be undone. For us, that if we spend billions of dollars changing packaging and labeling and making sure our formulations are, the ingredients are clear. And then, a few years down the road, the next administration comes back and says, "No, this is fine." We swing back. It's gonna be costly again.
Yeah.
But sometimes you hope, well, if we're going down this road, we're going to make these changes. We're going to make thoughtful changes that we can stay clear on that and move forward. It's very difficult for businesses, not just food and manufacturing, pet food manufacturing or branding, but it's very hard for government, when government puts incentives or changes programs for businesses to continue, and government, quite frankly, has put a few businesses out of business.
Yeah.
So,
Lee, should probably kick it over to you.
Yes.
You're just now jumping in and trying to understand all this, and you're going to be in charge of managing these future changes. What is it that you're seeing? What are some of the things that you're preparing for specifically?
Yeah. Well, I'm 6 weeks on the job. I've got about 20 years of experience in food and beverage on the human side, trade association work. So I started my career in frozen food. I went on to, at the time, Grocery Manufacturers Association, which is now Consumer Brands Association. I spent a little bit of time in industry, and I spent most recently the last decade in candy, chocolate and candy. So I've got a lot of experience in human food, and making this transition over to pet food has been a pretty seamless one. There's a lot of issues that I think that kind of cross over from human food into pet food issues. So I would say, we're preparing to continue to pursue the legislative priorities that this team has established over the last several years. So we're a trade association. That's the bread and butter. Advocacy is the bread and butter, so we won't be abandoning that anytime soon. We've got a team of fantastic experts on staff, as we've said. So Dana's going to talk a little bit later about the PURR Act. We haven't mentioned that specifically, but a lot of what she's referencing here in terms of eliminating this 50-state patchwork rolls up underneath the PURR Act. So that's priority number one, and fingers crossed if we get implementation of that across the finish line in Congress, then we move into a period where we're working on actually writing the regulation or helping to inform the regulation and rolling that out with industry. So I would anticipate that there will be a period of education with our members. certainly in the next couple of years. There are a lot of challenges and issues. There's no shortage of legislative issues that are on the radar. We also talked a little bit about tariffs. We are thinking about things like renewable fuels at this point. That's also on the radar. So, again, no shortage of issues. Advocacy is the bread and butter. I'm also thinking about how we can widen the tent, for instance, how we can bring some more voices into the association. I believe that the ecosystem, the association is strongest when the entirety of the ecosystem is represented, and we have the benefit of hearing from a diverse group of members, producing members, associate members, suppliers to the industry, people who have expertise in packaging and ingredient supply, equipment manufacturing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm thinking about ways that we can be more inclusive at the Pet Food Institute of the entirety of the ecosystem, and potentially bring some more insights to our members, but also how we can establish ourselves or reaffirm ourselves or recommit ourselves to being the thoughtful leading voice of the industry, of the pet food industry.
And so how does somebody become a member? Is it just an application?
Yeah,
You have to be approved?
Yeah,
write a big check?
Yep, write a big check. Yeah, no, it is pretty simple. So we have a couple of different categories of membership at this point for producing companies, but again, as well, associate members. We do have different applications. We have some pretty stringent safety standards that folks have to commit to upholding in order to become part of the Institute. We want to make sure that we represent folks that are committed to food safety first and foremost. Obviously, that's the most important thing for our industry. So, but yeah, we welcome a conversation with anybody who has an interest in supporting the industry.
Yeah, excellent. And if they want to do that, how do they do that? Just look up your website?
Absolutely. You can find information on the website. And certainly if anybody is here at Pet Food Forum, we're happy to have a live conversation, but reach out to me or any one of my colleagues and we can get the right information into your hands.
All right. Sounds good. Dana, would it be fair now to transition over talking about the PURR Act?
Oh, absolutely. It's my favorite conversation and subject to talk about.
So what is it?
Oh, it's well, first I have to say what PURR stands for. So it's Pet Food Uniform Regulatory Reform Act, PURR, PURR Act. We actually had a little competition in the office to come up with a name for it. So I have to do a shout out for our colleague that's back in Washington, D.C., Savon. She does our state advocacy work, and she came up with the PURR Act
She
for
must
us.
be a cat fan.
She actually has a dog, not a cat, but so it was kind of fun, but it certainly is a memorable name for it. And it is what we talk about. We want a uniform regulatory reform program.
So talk about the downside of the way it is today and why it needs to be reformed.
Absolutely. So how about I say the frustration, the tipping point to making this work.
Perfect.
So during COVID, especially, when we were all challenged with the supply chain, and we're trying to get the product to market, we were lucky to get pet food deemed essential during that time, so we could have product going to market. But some states, states reviewing the labels, looking for things. There was some, it's a whack-a-mole around the state. It's left up to individual interpretation. So as we're trying to get product to market, when you're questioned about whether there's an S on a word or not, or an asterisk, or things that neither impact food safety nor nutrition, but we're creating a disruption, asking companies to make packaging changes. We don't sell to just one state. Our products go to distribution centers, and so when one individual state would make a decision about a question, then that impacts the whole region sometimes. Mm-hmm. And again, was not food safety. It was not a nutritional. It would be, again, no kidding, S's, asterisks, font size, but nothing that was kind of illegal or out of bounds. And you just hit a tipping point of where we're playing whack-a-mole on this. And it's like, we have got to have a change. I don't understand how we can't be more either like human food or, have the federal oversight on that. None that does not come without risk to understand, frustration. And so we started a little working group that turned into a task force. We looked at everything. We, exercised all options of how do we, everything from how can we submit labels in a uniform fashion to all the states if we stay with states. And after we went through several years of pain points, we made a decision that the only option we had really was to federalize the ingredients, to federalize how the package needs to be, labels and what's on the package. Of course, we said, what's on the package better be in the package, so that's important. Then we started working with other allies. We started speaking with both federal and state to try to find a way to navigate this, and at the end of the day, that's how PURR got brought together.
How did the states feel about that?
Well, as you can imagine, there have been some states that really did not support this. There are other states that do. It's like everything. Different states do it different ways, and there are support out there for this in some key states, especially those where they understand the process of pet food manufacturing. They recognize what we go through. We still are under those states for inspection, for FSMA inspections, so we still continue to support that and just agree that their boots on the ground on that part of it. But as far as the labeling, that does not need to be a pre-market label review process.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a surprise because nobody knows that this is what we go through until we explain it.
Yeah.
It's like, really? You go through this? And yes, we do. So it's more arduous than human food.
Yeah. So I probably ought to turn over Jason if you got any questions of my co-host. I told you can't be polite. You got to elbow your way in here. Same goes for you, Pat, Dana. Just, get a questions, ask them.
None right
now. You're good. All right.
Yeah,
good.
I could jump in and just mention Dana did a really nice job explaining our current regulatory system. We talked a lot about the changes. The truth is, we've always had a lot of changes. You can imagine the system where we have federal oversight as well as 50 state regulatory environment through the way. There's always changes coming about. Dana talked about MAHA quite a bit, and MAHA is an interesting playbook to look at the changes that are coming. But something that people might lose sight of is that these reforms to our GRAS approval process had been in play a long time, even prior to the MAHA report.
Yeah.
And so for the past couple of years, probably, we had been communicating with FDA. We issued comments as well as the public could inform on that. It could be, I'm going to be a little bit careful here because we're always nervous a little bit about losing self-GRAS and what's going to happen to all that. But there's some interesting and good, I think, things coming about as CVM is looking at this. In many ways, CVM looked to the states to provide a way to approve ingredients, so on and so forth. And I think FDA has reconsidered that. They had a memorandum of understanding for many years that they could do that, and FDA stepped away, looking at maybe some stronger CVM oversight. In addition, these self-GRASed ingredients, now there are experts in our industry. We have incredible toxicologists and formulation scientists and food safety people. So we're very comfortable with the decisions we've made for approving ingredients. But it's really interesting, and in some ways industry was doing that, and CVM is saying, okay, we would like to be informed. We want to be notified as well as what you're doing. No one's saying they don't respect our decision-making ability, but there are some signals here, I guess I'll just call them, where CVM is looking at taking on more of that regulatory authority, I guess. And for us, it's very nice having a single decision maker, a single umpire, so to speak. And there are some good things coming about with that, I think, as well, along with the uncertainty. But if it allows us to make more predictable business decisions, that is what we really want. There's a lot of talk about how long do you want it to be for us to approve an ingredient. The most important thing isn't just speed. It is adherence to timelines, and if we're able to make business decisions and have it be predictable and when we bring a product to market or what we can do, that is the key for us. Mm-hmm. So there's these changes. There are some good aspects to things as well.
Yeah. So self-GRAS, are there other models out there? So like, how does Europe do it today? Do they use a GRAS model? Is it self-affirming?
They have a similar way of doing things. I think that it's the EU, and maybe our international folks might be able to talk about it a little bit better, but there's, I think there's a little bit more of precautionary principles involved with them on the EU side.
Okay.
Versus firm approvals.
Yeah.
But they also have where their association, similar FIDF, similar to what we are at PFI, they kind of are the cataloger of ingredients and
it's exactly as you said. FIDF kind of has maybe a little bit of a different approach towards what could be compared to self-GRAS with that catalog of ingredients. So they approach it in a different way than we do.
Very well. What else so we talked a little bit about the changing environment. What are some of the solutions other than maybe the PURR Act that you guys have been working on?
I think the PURR Act is one of our most.
That's
That's really important. And until we have that passed, that we continue to work with our partners. We try to make sure that there's some clear guidance, working with both FDA as well as states. Pat, you want to add to that?
No, I think absolutely PURR Act would be first and foremost the main thing. There is a lot of routine work that we do, and we talked about PFI's history and how we've always been an advocacy group, and so continuously meeting and sharing the newest and best knowledge that we have on nutrition, food safety, regulatory compliance across both states and the federal side. So we always have ongoing work that we're doing in that regard. But I think looking at, hey, what's the top priority right now?
Yeah.
It is the PURR Act.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, if I can jump in for a second. So you asked about solutions, and I'd like to throw it over to Dana for just a couple of minutes to talk a little bit about the work that she does on behalf of the industry. Obviously, we're the U.S. Pet Food Institute, and so one of our primary interests, of course, here is growth in the United States. But Dana's work is focused on helping our members grow internationally and growing the global market through the government grants that we receive primarily. So, Dana, why don't you talk a little bit about how we support our members and the industry at large in the global market?
Totally. And first, to go back to what Dana Brooks said early on and kind of helping foreign regulators understand how we regulate pet food in the United States, PURR will certainly help have that conversation, because right now the conversations that I have with my association counterparts in foreign countries, and then conversations that I might have with our own regulators, and then conversations that they're having with their counterparts, there's a lot of confusion about how pet food is regulated in the United States, and it's hard to make that argument and market it when it's all very confusing, right? So having that be a lot more uniform is going to help me at least market U.S. pet food abroad. Of course, that doesn't change the fact that we have a reputation for being really safe product. We have a reputation for high quality, and that nutritional value isn't lost on foreign consumers. We don't really have to spend a lot of time convincing people that U.S. pet food is good.
Superior.
Right. We're kind of already there. So part of my work, in addition to kind of being a liaison between our member companies and USDA APHIS, that's the Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, who kind of make sure that foreign regulations, like their own import regulations, are being adhered to by U.S. companies who are seeking to export. In addition to that, we do receive grant funding from USDA to market U.S. pet food generally abroad. So focusing on educating not only foreign consumers, but foreign regulators as well about the nutritional excellence of U.S. pet food, the safety, the quality. We have 3, actually. We've just got a new program online, actually. 3 kind of programs where we're receiving this grant funding. So we have the Market Access Program, that's MAP, the Regional Agricultural Promotion Program, which is RAP, and then we got one more, and this is a long one. The America First Trade Promotion Program, so that's AFTPP. And we always joke about the alphabet soup of acronyms in DC. So here's your daily dose. And all of those programs, we have the mandate to market U.S. pet food abroad generally. Under RAP, we get a little bit more wiggle room to operate in a regulatory space. So our philosophy for using our RAP funding is to operate in markets where we already have a market access program, and that entails in-country representatives that we contract with who are conducting those marketing activities. They participate in trade shows like Pet Food Forum or their kind of counterparts in country. They do their own kind of social media campaigns. It's a very interesting world to be operating in. So in addition to that kind of marketing, RAP allows us to operate in a regulatory space. So we're looking at countries where we've had kind of long-standing regulatory issues, like in Brazil and South Korea, Australia, Taiwan, have a little bit more wiggle room there. And then AFTPP is such a long acronym. AFTPP is meant to kind of focus on non-traditional markets. So markets where we're not particularly strong, or markets that are emerging. So we're looking at Africa specifically, Ghana and Egypt.
Okay. I mentioned a few countries that are a little more challenging. I think Brazil, Australia were on that list. So what's the issues there?
Sure. So there's a couple of them. Brazil actually just redid a lot of their import regulations, and our friends at the Foreign Agriculture Service did a really amazing report about all of that. The taxes in Brazil are very high, the import duties. Pet food is considered a luxury good along with alcohol and cigarettes, actually. So there's a fun little fact. But it's not just imported pet food that is classified as such. The domestic market suffers that as well. So that's something that we've been trying to address with our association counterparts in Brazil. South Korea has had a ban on ruminant material in pet food for 25 years. They're in the process of redoing their import regulations as well. So while some of these problems have been very long-standing, the needle's moving, which is very encouraging. And Australia, being that they are an island nation, is obviously very concerned about food safety and pathogen control. So they have pretty stringent import requirements for processing methods there. So another area where we're kind of hoping to use those RAP funds to educate about how we can import food there that is also safe and not going to be putting any animals in danger.
Yeah, very well.
And I'd say, just if we're having an overall conversation about all the changes that were coming up, we've heard a lot about international side, and we focus some of our conversation early on about our inputs. Through our processing, don't forget that we're having massive changes at the tail end where our labels right now are changing as well, because we're going through pet food label modernization. And Jason, you remember all of that. You worked really hard. Our packages are going to look different over the next 5 years or so. And that there's going to be more information for consumers to look at on the primary panel. There's going to be a pet nutrition box similar to the human side nutrition facts box. We're going to have something similar, and some of the numbers are going to change. So it is very involved switching over these labels. It's not just the way I described it. It's not just moving things around on the label. There's new laboratory work that's happening and different changes. It also brings into this fact, or this idea, that in addition to working to change the labels and the regulatory work we did, there's some consumer education that has to go out with that too, that they have to be ready. This is going to look different to them. And I mentioned some of the numbers being different. They're going to do that as well. So as we talk about the overall changes, there are, I think talking about our labels changing is important to add to that conversation as well.
Yeah, so you mentioned changing. Is it better in your opinion? I
think we all agree that it's much better. Even just a change, we've the change from crude designations for protein, fiber, and fat, changing over to total dietary fiber. It's much more meaningful for the consumer. But again, there could be the perception that that number will be higher now. Total dietary fiber, it'll be a higher number. Consumers may say, well, what's changed about my pet's food? And really nothing.
Right.
But we're reporting things in a better way. We like the new labels. We worked on it for long enough to get to something we like.
Long and hard on those.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, I look at you mentioned this, they're going to be a lot like the human labels, or I forget what you exactly said. I find the human labels difficult and sometimes misleading, to be real honest with you, in terms of trying to understand what nutrition I'm getting out of them, right? Whether it's serving size or, maybe it's easier in pet food.
It can be tougher, but I think it's, having a more standardized place to look for these.
Yeah.
For this type of information, I think is really one of the goals that was behind the overall modernizing the labels. So
Got it.
It could, that confusion could still exist.
Yeah.
We are trying to make it much, much easier.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was talking about the human side, not the pet side.
Yeah, well, I think one of those places, if I may, where there's a lot of crossover between human food and pet food is in changing consumer expectations and the expectation for transparency.
Yes.
In processing, the expectation for transparency in ingredients, why ingredients are present at the levels that they're present. So to your point, education about the new labels is imperative for consumers, and meeting those expectations and meeting consumers where they're at is a critical part of the work going forward.
Yeah. Any plans for how do you see educating the audience out there?
Well, you have to meet consumers where they're at. So certainly through our digital properties, most consumers get information from a vast variety of sources at this moment, good, bad, or indifferent.
Right.
Social media is a driving force. AI, so consumers are turning to artificial intelligence to get information about not only their own health but their pet health as well. Can't discount the role of veterinarians, of course, and so thinking
point.
about how we engage the veterinary community to ensure that they are educated about label changes and they know how to talk to their patients as well. So all sorts of ways to get information out to consumers.
And we hope they use our website as a trusted source, petfoodinstitute.org. We have information on the new labels there. We have information on the PURR Act there. We have information on our international trade policy, how to be a member of PFI, how to get involved in the industry. So while I know website, sometimes everybody wants to go to all the social, we really try to drive social into our website where you can go deeper dive into the issue, get infographics that you can use either in your retail and veterinarian clinics to be able to have whatever you need. So really work hard to make sure we're getting that fact, science based information out there.
Yeah. Great way to kind of wrap it up here. As we do wrap up, what I'd like to do is kind of go around the panel here, give you guys an opportunity to share one or two things that you think the audience should take away from this conversation, or if you want to, tell them why they should join Pet Food Institute. they can do that. I'm going to start down here with Jason. Jason, you got a couple things you'd like to share? Dr. Alden, with the adoption of fresh, frozen, refrigerated meat-type products, there's a greater demand for pathogen control. Balchem's recently created a product called pH control systems. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so what we have been able to do within the PetSure brand and our pH control system is leverage our heritage understanding and unique processes of microencapsulation to deliver specific acidulants that can help control the pH of the finished product and help be a hurdle for pathogenic bacteria growth. This product enhances the texture, maintains the color, maintains and supports shelf life and helps maintain shelf life while inhibiting the microbial growth of pathogen bacteria. This was originally developed in the human food sector, and so we have translated that from the meat science and human foods safely and effectively into pet foods, ensuring that it is both labeled appropriately and registered for use in pet and specialty pet products.
So organic acids have been used for a very long time to control pathogens in meat-type products. What makes this pH control system different?
The uniqueness of this is the microencapsulation and being able to control the release of that acidulant into the product over a period of time. Quick release causes changes in the texture, changes in the color, loss of moisture in your finished product or the meat batter. And by controlling this release, we're able to eliminate those aesthetics as well as the functionality of the protein breakdown.
I do have a question. We've been talking about pet food, finished goods. How will the PURR Act benefit Balchem, ingredient manufacturers, both for pet food and for livestock feed?
Well, livestock animal food is included in the PURR Act.
Okay, great.
So they'll have some of the same benefits that we design for pet food. Ingredient suppliers, will have the assurity that your ingredient is, approved, is federalized, codified, so won't be questioned, when the product's in the market.
And I think that gives you assurance with your customers as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very well. Dana, a couple thoughts?
I think just the theme of kind of the talk that I gave yesterday, the presentation that I did, while the international trade landscape is changing and the new normal is kind of crazy, it's not unmanageable. And if you make use of the tools that we at PFI provide and the tools that USDA provides through us, the chaos is manageable, and it's possible to have a successful international business for exporting, and it's also possible to import ingredients if you need to.
All right, very well. Dana.
I'm closing out on my 8 years, so it's been an amazing journey. I can tell you that I've learned so much about pet food. I know the pet food members care. They do everything they can to serve pets and the people that feed the pets. What I will say is that PFI truly is the trusted voice in Washington, D.C. when it comes to regulatory, government advocacy for pet food. And our members of PFI truly receive return on their investment every day by the strong staff that they have in Washington, D.C. It's a small but mighty team. I'm going to miss them very much, but I know that when I buy pet food for my pets, it will be a PFI member company.
So, Dana, what's plans after PFI?
First, I'm going to go home to Destin, Florida to be with my husband and my family, my stepdaughter, and I'm going to be a grandmother this summer.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm going to play the grandmother role. And then I definitely love people, and I want to be able to continue to support coaching, leadership training, maybe some recruiting. But but if that doesn't work out, I have a really strong resume as a dog walker and a pet sitter.
There you go. That's awesome. Pat?
Oh, that's great. I think I will have to say Dana made the comment that she's going to miss staff. I think it's true that, Dana, we're going to miss you too. Mm-hmm. I think we'll see you now and then, though, as well, so it'll be nice. One point to make, we have an industry that loves what we do. We love dogs and cats. Mm-hmm. I can get on a soapbox when I do food safety work that I know that the people we're working with in pet food manufacturers, it matters to them as well. Just kind of in a more straight to our topics today type talk, I do want to say with, having a strong regulatory environment for pet food makers, it is a huge bonus for us. And if we have a predictable regulatory environment, which is what we strive for, we want a strong regulatory environment, and it allows us to make business decisions faster, bring products to market. And that's what brings about innovation. And consumers want changes. They want specific foods. And a strong regulatory environment spurs that innovation to allow us to do that.
Yep, they want safety. Absolutely. Thanks, Pat. Elise, going to give you the final words.
Bringing
as the
it
new
home
president.
here. Well,
Yep.
I would just say, the future is incredibly bright. I would say the runway for growth, both still in this country and around the globe, is just tremendous. I think it's poignant what both Dana and Pat said, so I think you can kind of consider us as the folks who are controlling the chaos out there as it relates to the international trade landscape, but also the regulatory landscape. And my aspiration, my goal for the association, Dana has left a remarkable foundation here as having turned this organization into a really tremendous and effective advocacy organization in Washington. The brand is very strong. Like she said, we are undeniably the thought leader for the U.S. pet food industry when it comes to regulators and policymakers. And I would say that kind of building on that foundation is part of my objective, and ensuring that the membership and those who are not currently members view the Institute as indispensable business partners to help them, with their innovation and continue their social license to operate in this country and abroad. And like I said, the future is very bright. I can't wait to be a part of it.
Yeah, I like that, Elise. PFI's in good hands.
Thank you.
Leaving good hands, but you've got a great team here. I've really enjoyed our conversation today. I've learned a lot. And so to the audience out there, I hope you learned something as well. Hope you had fun. And I hope to see you next time here at Real Science Exchange, where it's always happy hour and you're always among friends.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah. Thanks, Scott.
We'd love to hear your comments or ideas for topics and guests, so please reach out via email at anh.marketing@balchem.com with any suggestions, and we'll work hard to add them to the schedule. Don't forget to leave a 5-star rating on your way out. You can request your Real Science Exchange t-shirt in just a few easy steps. Just like or subscribe to the Real Science Exchange and send us a screenshot along with your address and t-shirt size to anh.marketing@balchem.com. Balchem's Real Science Lecture Series of webinars takes place on the first Tuesday of every month, with the top research and nutrition topics that will impact your business. We also include small ruminant, monogastric, and companion animal-focused topics throughout the year. Visit balchem.com/realscience to see the upcoming topics and to register for future webinars. You can also access past webinars and search for the topics most important to you.